Good morning. Welcome to the live streaming worship service of the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside. I'm Bonnie McFarland, a member of the worship committee, and I will be your worship associate today. You will also hear the voices of Grace Prouse and Adam Wedeking. We invite you to worship with us with an open mind and an open heart. I invite you to get comfortable. Turn down your phones or other distracting devices. Make a conscious decision to set aside for this 1 hour the self-protective walls we all keep around our heart and our thoughts. Let us remember and explore together what has drawn us to this faith, or learn what this faith is about. And relax. Let the stresses of the outside world slip away as together we focus on this time together. And together we breathe. Although we are now a community connected largely by electronic means, one day we will be together again. Yet even now we are those seekers with the yearnings to learn, to understand, to make the world a better place, and with the same desire for fellowship. And so we are here seeking that living interconnected web of which we are a part. Let go of the anxiety, the fears, the expectations of your own or others' making, and join us in this hour of beloved community. And so together we breathe. Our opening hymn this morning is For All That Is Our Life. Please rise in spirit and join us, and because we are Zooming this, nobody will know if you sing off key.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is our gift, which we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad.
For our call to worship, I invite you to read with me the mission statement of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Riverside. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. About this sermon, Joan DeArtemis said, When the string is too loose, it will not play. And when the string is too tight, it snaps. Is your string too loose or too tight? How can we be in tune so that we can be healthy and play well with others? The sermon explores this Buddhist teaching to bring harmony into our lives. Cathy Nicles will read this sermon written by Joan DeArtemis. Cathy Nicles is no stranger to UCR. She has generally been with us in a supportive role as the other half of Joan and Cathy, but recently she has begun a new role with us as speaker. However, today she's doing something special. Cathy will read for us a sermon written by Joan, who couldn't give the sermon herself because this morning she is giving it to the Unitarian Universalist Society of Wellesley Hills in Massachusetts. Cathy Nicles holds a bachelor's degree in art and music history from Syracuse University and a master's of public administration with a focus in urban and community planning. Joan DeArtemis, master's in divinity, is a candidate for ministry and intern at UU Society of Wellesley Hills, Massachusetts. She holds a master's of divinity from Claremont School of Theology. The sermon has been pre-recorded, so Cathy will not be able to join us following the service. However, she will be back in a couple of weeks, as will Joan. There are a few announcements we would like to share. During the service, we will mention several website and email addresses and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all this information, and it's available on our website. However, for those needing the information by auditory means, it will be announced verbally during the service. Chat time provides an opportunity to spend an hour talking among ourselves, usually beginning with the service, then wandering on to other topics. It's held on Zoom at 11:30, but to participate, you need a separate Zoom link. So please go to our website at uuchurchofriverside.org for the Zoom chat time link.
Good morning. I've got a couple announcements. This is Adam, Chair of the Social Environmental Justice Committee. I've got a couple announcements about the Social Environmental Justice Committee. First of all, we have our next meeting is next week. We meet on the first and the third Sunday of each month. For the link, you can go to the website, click on the Justice menu, and then click on Social Environmental Justice. You'll find on our page there a link to join our meeting. But again, that's next week. On December 15th, Deputy Riverside County Sheriff's beat Ernie Serrano to death as he was trying to buy cookies in the express checkout lane at Stater Brothers in Rubidoux. That's my Stater Brothers that I shop at. I used to shop at. Our Social and Environmental Justice Committee is joining the fight for justice for Ernie. There will be a rally today at the Stater Brothers. Again, Stater Brothers is on the Mission Inn and Rubidoux Boulevard, or actually it's Mission Boulevard in the Rubidoux area, and Rubidoux Boulevard. If anybody would like to join, it will be at noon. They're asking folks to bring sign making materials, and when you're there, you can sign up to do a caravan or a canvas for Ernie. And I also want to talk about really quickly about this campaign that we're working on, because this has got a really important action for everybody to do this week. Keeping families housed. It's really important right now with this pandemic to make sure that people can stay in their homes. And folks are losing their jobs and are unable to pay rent. Luckily, right now, there is a eviction moratorium in California that's stopping people from being evicted. That is up January 31st. And so there needs to be an extension to that. And there is a bill right now in the in the state legislature, it's AB 15 to extend that through the end of the year. But that's only one issue. If you look on the screen there, there's 3 different things that need to be focused on to make sure we're keeping folks in their homes. Stop the evictions and the foreclosures, but also we need to eliminate this once this is all over and somebody gets a job and can pay rent again, they now owe all this back rent. So we need to make sure that we can help them pay that back rent so they can stay in their homes. And also make sure that we give help to small landlords and nonprofits that provide affordable housing to make sure that they can keep doing what they're doing. So that is going to be addressed. There is a bill that they're working on to address all of that. Right now, we need to get AB 15 passed to make sure people stay in their homes for the rest of the year. And then we can work on getting AB 16 passed, which will address those other 2 topics. So if you want to get involved in this campaign, there's a few things going on. We're going to be meeting with Assembly members Sabrina Cervantes and Jose Medina. We won't be meeting them, but we'll be with her from their office to talk. And also, everybody is encouraged to join the week of action this week, sometime between Monday and Friday during business hours. There is a link if you go to the social justice page. If you're on the Social Justice Committee email list, you'll get an email about noon with a link. A really easy tool in order to call your legislators. You click on the link, you put in your address, you put in your phone number, and they'll actually call you. You have a script on your computer, and it'll connect you directly to your legislators, to your state senator and your state assembly person. So you can leave a message with their aide there that you support these bills. And the script is all there. It's real simple. Go to the Social Environmental Justice page and look under the Take Action heading, and you'll see Keeping Families Housed. That's it for, and also Social Environmental Justice Committee members who want to hang out for a little bit after the service, please do. We want to talk about what happened Wednesday at the U.S. Capitol and what our response should be. I think Bonnie's going to talk a little bit about what our national church's response is, but I think we should talk a little about what our response is. And I'll turn it back over to Bonnie.
On December 3rd, a regional stay-home order went into effect for regions with less than 15% intensive care unit availability. In Riverside County and all of Southern California region, the ICU availability continues to be at 0%. At this time, Riverside County reports an average of 107 new cases per 100,000 per day, and a positivity rate of 23.1%. On Friday, the state of California, working with Riverside County Emergency Management Services, established an emergency oxygen depot at Riverside County Hospital to provide additional oxygen supply for our own and surrounding counties as the need is expected to continue to rise. The first Pfizer and Moderna vaccine allocations have been made available to critical healthcare workers. This is phase 1A. So far, 17,294 Riverside County residents have been vaccinated. There is light at the end of this very long tunnel. For the most current and reliable information, go to the website for your county public health department or the state of California. You can also find information and links on our website. The monthly UUCR newsletter comes out the first of every month by email and per request by postal mail. If you have something you would like covered or that you want to write, let Dinah know at ramblinrose22@yahoo.com or call or text her at 909-645-2885. If you haven't received the newsletter and you would like to be added to our mailing list, please contact Dinah or the church office. You know, I can't let a heartbreak like this pass unnoted. This is from our national organization dated Friday, January 8th. The Unitarian Universalist Association joins leaders across the country in calling for the immediate removal of Donald Trump as US president. We call on the Vice President and every cabinet member to invoke the 25th Amendment and that Congress pursue articles of impeachment for the protection, safety, and stability of our country. President Trump has violated his oath to defend the Constitution, engaged in illegal and seditious acts, undermined a peaceful transition of power, and put the country, its leaders, and people in danger. As a religious institution, we live faithfully our role as a part of the critical fabric of our country's moral conscience. And as Unitarian Universalists, we hold democracy as a central principle for our faith. We are compelled by the events of this week to call these actions what they were: attempts by insurrection to overthrow our duly elected government. This is a time for true accountability and courageous action in pursuit of a more just, equitable, multiracial, and pluralistic society. President Trump and other national leaders, including members of Congress, must be held accountable for inciting insurrectionist violence by spreading lies and false claims of election fraud and attempting to usurp the will of the American people. We condemn these treasonous attempts to subvert our democracy and prevent certification of the Electoral College vote. The inevitable result was the unlawful storming of the US Capitol, the endangerment of congressional leaders, staff, law enforcement, and multiple deaths. We call on every member of Congress to act on their own sworn constitutional allegiance and tell the American people the truth, that the presidential election represented a free and fair election. Despite Donald Trump's attempts to dress up false claims of fraud in a spurious legal cloak, the 2020 election was the largest and most transparent election in history. The outcome of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as the president and vice president of the United States represents the will of the American people. The events witnessed at the Capitol are the predictable outcome of the racism and white supremacy that has been emboldened and given license by the president throughout his term and without consequence. We call on our government to take this attack on our democracy seriously. White supremacist violence is the greatest threat to public safety and our democracy. From the daily news to the warnings of federal intelligence experts, we know that the greatest ongoing domestic threats are from these extremists. The president and his enablers sought to undermine the 2020 election and focus their efforts to delegitimize and throw out votes of Black, Indigenous, and Latinx people across the country, especially in contested states. These efforts were a targeted attack rooted in our country's long practice of voter suppression and denying citizenship rights to people of color. An attack on voting rights and citizenship rights for any citizen is an attack on the rights of every citizen. Black movement leaders have been warning us for years that this is the frightening impact of white supremacy culture, which was evident in our founding documents and throughout our country's history. It was on clear display in the stark contrast of law enforcement's minimal response to the white supremacist insurrectionists that breached the Capitol. Protests by the Movement for Black Lives, by comparison, were met with tanks, tear gas, and bullets. From Charlottesville to Kenosha, Minneapolis to Michigan, we have seen this pattern repeated. The disparity of police treatment is yet another example of the fundamental need to divest from a punitive and racist system of policing and the need to invest instead in the health and well-being of our communities and civic life. This response to the attempted coup could not be more policing. The failure is not in a lack of policing, but the pattern of complicity with these dangerous extremists. We must uphold our democratic values and lawful civic engagement, even at the most difficult of times. It is the measure of our national character. We must use this moment as an opportunity for profound reflection and awakening, not just in a momentary outcry, but as a basis for significant and lasting change. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition is rooted in the values of human dignity, justice, compassion, and democratic principles. We will remain vigilant in our commitment to protecting our democracy and the integrity of its principles and the rights of all its people. This is why I am a Unitarian Universalist. Let us acknowledge that we walk upon the traditional territories of the Maranga, the original people of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. In honor of the Maranga people, we, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as the stewards of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with a space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to live out our dream of a world community of peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Our chalice lighting this morning is Let There Be Light by Gordon B. McKeeman. For the new year, just days old, beginning today, always beginning, we light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise. For beginnings that emerge out of endings appear amidst continuity, become visible in hindsight. We light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise. For all the times and all the ways we have begun anew together, we light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise. Our next hymn is Spirit of Life. Please rise in spirit and join us. Now, Dinah Rowe, our church treasurer, will speak to you about sharing our treasure.
Good morning. This portion of our service is how we fund all that we do to minister to and care for our congregation and our beloved historic church, and to ensure that when we are able to safely reopen again, we will be here to welcome you all back. A reminder that even though the church is not allowed to reopen at this time, the church expenses do continue. Just a few of these expenses are the utilities, the insurance, and our administrator, Robert, pays the bills and answers inquiries to the church, plus other items which come up on a daily basis. You can mail your pledge and donations to the church, and a reminder, no cash, please. Our church office address is shown and will be available again later this program. A good fundraiser for our church has been our Stater Brothers gift cards for you do your grocery shopping. We receive a percentage of the cards when we purchase them. When you purchase them, the church gets money back. Please contact me or the church office to purchase Stater Brothers cards. For those of you who have purchased Amazon gift cards, another way to help is when making purchases, go on Amazon, go to smile.amazon.com. Be sure to have the word smile there and choose our church, Universalist Unitarian Church, as your charity. We receive 0.5% of your purchase, and by using an Amazon gift card, we receive a percentage of both. We also have other gift cards in the office There's Amazon and Best Buy cards. There's Lowe's, Office Depot, Smart and Final. If you're interested in purchasing any of these, let Robert know. Please donate by whatever method works best for you. Thank you for your generosity. And to those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. Our next hymn will be From You I Receive. Please rise again in spirit and join us. We'll sing this through 3 times.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
The following meditation will begin with the sound of the mindfulness bell. At the end, we will have a moment of silence, ended by the sound of the mindfulness bell. Breathing in, I am aware of my pain.
Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my pain.
Breathing in, I am aware of my past.
Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my past.
Breathing in, I am aware of my anger.
Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my anger.
Breathing in, I am aware of my despair.
Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my despair.
Breathing in, I am aware of peace.
Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of peace.
Breathing in, I am aware of love.
Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of love.
Breathing in, I am aware of joy.
Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of joy.
Breathing in, I am aware of hope.
Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of hope.
Breathing in, I am aware.
Good morning. My name is Cathy Nicles. I'm here this morning to read a sermon from Joan DeArtemis, who gave this same sermon. That means you guys are very special, not that, you know, I just didn't want to write something. This sermon is very prescient, and that's why I decided that this is what I would use. It's called The String, and it starts off, there is a story that I first heard many years ago. I do not remember where I first heard it, but I know that I already knew it well by the time I saw the movie Little Buddha, where it also appeared. As the story goes, before the Buddha became the enlightened one, he tried many paths before he got there. Having been born to a wealthy aristocratic family, one of the things he tried to follow was the way of the ascetics. He took on a very severe lifestyle of abstinence from all things that brought pleasure, eating and drinking almost nothing, and living only on what he could receive by begging. After some years, he was close to starving to death and becoming sick and somewhat delirious. But before he died, he saw a man tuning a lute. And when the man began to play, the Buddha had a revelation. If the string is too loose, it will not play. And if it is too tight, it snaps. Buddhism is based upon the middle way of not too little and not too much. There is so much wisdom in this. It is the essential teaching of Taoism, which is no surprise because it is also the essential teaching of nature. We all know if we find ourselves with too little to do, too little to engage us, we can become bored and self-absorbed. This leads to badness. Idle hands are the devil's workshop, they used to say, which may sound silly to us now. But think of the last time you left your child or pet alone with too much time and too little to do. The results are often less than desirable. This is our brain protecting itself because boredom is awfully bad for it. Animal care professionals in zoos understand animals must be given adequate stimulation, or else, literally, many animals will sicken and die. Babies and children that are provided too little stimulation fail to develop properly. Solitary confinement is often used as a form of punishment for incarcerated people, and when continued for too long, is considered a form of psychological torture. If the string is too loose, it will not play. Many years ago, I was working at a job 60 hours a week and going to school at night as well. Plus, I was going through some extremely significant life changes. I was in the process of coming out as a lesbian. I decided to play my guitar to try to relax. So I got out my guitar and I started to tune it, using a pitch pipe for each string. However, I was way too tired and stressed. And because I was not paying attention, I tried to tune one of the strings to the wrong pipe. And all at once, the string snapped and it whipped around and hit me in the cheek, drawing blood. It could have been much worse. It could have hit me in the eye. So the lesson that I took away from that was my string, my personal string, was too tight. I was trying to do way too much while I was trying to process some heavy emotional stuff. And if my string snaps, it could also be very dangerous to me. But the other part of that lesson that came after some time of reflection was that there are 6 strings on a guitar, and they are all different. They all play different notes. They all vibrate at a different frequency, and they are all meant to. They're designed to, and all have their own job to do on the guitar. I suppose an instrument with 6 strings, all the same, is possible, but it would not be a guitar. The joy of a guitar is that in the differences in the strings, all working in harmony. Now think of a symphony orchestra and all the different instruments and all the strings, all different, each tuned to their own frequency. Together, they can create the most amazing, beautiful music. But there is another kind of string. Well, I guess maybe more of a strand. Excuse me. You see, no matter who you are or where you are watching me from, you are in relationship with me. The very fact that you are listening to me right now means that you and I have a relationship. And we can think of that relationship as kind of like an invisible strand stretching between us, like the string of the lute or guitar. If it is too loose, it will not play. If I were just sitting here on Zoom and not doing or saying anything, you would probably get bored and go do something else. But I am talking and you are listening. And I'm trying to make what I'm saying interesting so you are engaged, hopefully. I have turned the peg on the guitar a bit. Hopefully you are thinking, where is she going with this guitar metaphor? I have increased the tension a little bit. The string is now playing. I could turn it a bit more. I could talk about something that you are specifically interested in. That would tighten it a little bit more. I could talk about something controversial. That would tighten it a little more. I could challenge you. Say something that you do not agree with. That tightens it a little bit more. I could say something that makes you mad. So mad that you want to tell me so later. Really give me a piece of your mind. Wow, now I've really tightened that string. But just like the string on my guitar, I can only do that so much. And if you get angry enough at me, you might say, that's it. I'm not listening to this nonsense anymore, and turn off Zoom. The string would have snapped. I do not want to do that. I want to keep you engaged, keep the conversation going, keep the relationship playing, hopefully contributing to the great symphony of relationships in the world. So now let's take it a step further. Think about a spider's web. Think of yourself as the hub of a spider's web. Each relationship that you have is a strand leading from you to that other person which you have a relationship with. One of those strands is me, because we do, in fact, have a relationship. But you have all these other relationships as well, with your family, your friends, your coworkers, the congregants of your church. You also have relationships with people that you may never have met, maybe never will meet. She probably does not know it, but Rachel Maddow and I have a relationship. We have some relationship strands with people we will never meet. For example, think of a TV show you really like. You watch every episode. Those folks are a part of your life and you are a part of theirs. You help pay their bills, and most of them, I'm sure, appreciate that. Now, think again about the spider's web. The strands do not just go from the hub to some other point. There are also strands connecting the strands. There are relationships connecting the relationships. So members of the congregation have a relationship with each other, whether they ever meet each other or not. Your relationships to the rest of the congregation means you are also in relationship to all other members. That is why you choose one church over another, because you are choosing that relationship. And I'm in a relationship with all the other people who like Rachel Maddow. Don't believe me? Just say her name in a public place and watch how many people look up. But in this metaphor, the relationship is neither positive nor negative. The only thing that matters is the emotional engagement, the tension on the string. An adversarial relationship is a relationship also, and often of the wound very tight kind. In these days of online communication, we have developed something called cancel culture. Back in the old days, they'd be exiled or banished from their home. Often people would die from this. But in these days of social media, what we do instead is delete and block. The string is officially too tight. It has snapped. Easy, right? Somebody says something to you you don't like, something that offends you. Just delete and block, snap. You never have to deal with them again, except that this is just an illusion. Remember those strands between the strands? They are still in relationship with someone that you are in relationship with, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not. It does not really go away. So let's say you're a sports fan and you really like the Rams. Bear with me. Because of those strands between strands, you are in relationship with all other Rams fans. You may not realize it, but you are. That is what makes the Super Bowl so fun. However, if the Rams are playing the Patriots, okay, now you're with me again, right? You are now in a relationship to the Patriots as well. Remember, the relationship is neither positive nor negative, and the relationship to the Patriots, the string, may be wound very, very tight because it's adversarial. Wow, your web of relationships is getting big, isn't it? Now, think about this. This is when it gets interesting. If you are an American or even living in the US, whether a citizen or not, you are in a relationship with every single other person living in the US. Yes, that is not a pleasant thought, is it? The reason is those strands between strands. The reason is we are all in relationship with our elected officials. Yes, our mayor, our governor, our senators, our congressperson, the vice president, and the president. So to those folks who say, I'm not a political person, I don't do politics. Yes, you do. You have a relationship with all those people because what they do affects you, and what you do affects them. You are all part of this great, vast relationship web. And it doesn't matter whether you are a Democrat, Republican, Independent, or Green. It does not matter if you are for or against them. You are in a relationship. And even if that relationship snaps, it does not really go away because you are still in relationship with other people. You are in relationship. You cannot just delete and block. It does not really work that way. So last Wednesday, we saw something awful, really awful occur. We saw an angry mob, an angry armed mob, storm the Capitol building. while the people inside were in the process of certifying the 2020 election. The goal was to stop the certification. They failed, but at least 5 people died in the process. Were you surprised? I was not. Do you know why? Because I do not delete and block. I have maintained my relationships with people who I profoundly disagree with. No, I have not been unfaithful to my beliefs and opinions regarding race or gender or marriage equality. I just have not deleted and blocked. And I do not very often engage in arguments over those things either. I just live my best life and share that life with others. Yeah, they see me marrying my partner of 27 years, the love of my life. They see she's a woman. They see that I'm happy as all get out, and I really don't care if they do think it's gross or an abomination. I really do not let that bother me. But I do not delete and block, and I do not avoid the news. However, if the string is too tight, it will snap. Sometimes I do have to take a little break, go do something else, play some relaxing music or some World of Warcraft. But I do not sever nor try to sever the relationship. Because for one thing, I know it does not work. We will still be in relationship no matter which buttons I push on my keyboard. But more importantly, I've been watching them talk about planning something big. I did not know any details, but I wasn't surprised at all when the rioters showed up and started busting in. I was surprised that they were able to get in. That did surprise me. I could not figure out why everyone did not know this was a possibility. I still do not. Maybe just no one could believe it, or maybe no one was paying attention. Maybe everyone who did not agree with them deleted and blocked them. They already spend a lot of time on Parler and MeWe. I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff on there that I never see, but still, from what I did see, I was not surprised. But here is my question. What if we keep doing that? What if the various strings get tighter and tighter until they all just snap? What if, say, a third of our country says, we just can't live in your world anymore. We delete you. We block you. And we say the same thing. Does that mean that the string has snapped? Yes, it does. When the string is too tight, it snaps. And once a string has snapped, it is extremely hard to put it back together. But once that happens, it will not be a case of we will never, ever have to deal with each other again. It will just mean that our individual relationships will be broken. We will still be in relationship, a very, very adversarial one. One that will be awfully hard to repair. Our relationship to one another will still be in relation to their relation to one another. We will lose all hope of seeing each other as people, and will only be able to relate to one another based on our ideologies. The people behind this need to be held responsible. This absolutely must stop. We cannot have our most sacred institutions violated in this way. We are at a very dangerous junction in this country. Almost all our strings are very, very tight indeed. And if we don't stop cranking those pegs on our guitars, if we don't find a way to loosen up those strings a little bit, well, a string that is too loose will not play. But a string that has snapped may never play again. And at this point, I will make an editorial comment. We lose our democracy. Thank you very much for checking in this morning. I hope Joan and I have given you some things to think about. And I feel very privileged to have been able to present this to you this morning. Everybody take care, and until the next time.
Our closing hymn is Do You Hear? And I want to thank Cathy and Joan both. However, they're not going to hear it right now, but they will hear it if they listen again later. So our closing hymn, Do You Hear? Please rise in spirit and join us.
Do you hear, oh my friend, in the place where you stand, through the sky, through the land? Do you hear, in the height on the plain, in the vale on the plain, in the sun, in the rain? Do you hear, through the roar, through the rush, through the throng, through the crush? Do you hear in the hush of your soul, hear the cry, fear won't still, hear the heart call to will, hear a sigh, startling trill, in your soul, from the place where you stand to the outermost strand. Do you hear, oh my friend? Do you hear all the dreams, all the dares, all the sighs, all the prayers? They are yours, mine and theirs. Do you hear, oh my friend, in the place, in the space, where the sky, through the sky? Do you hear, in the heights, on the plain, in the vale, on the sun, in the rain? Do you hear?
For our benediction, please close your eyes and reach out to each other in your thoughts. Feel the connection between us, the interconnected web joining us as a community, a church family. Our benediction is Only One Thing Required of Us by Reverend Dr. Kendall Gibbons. There is finally only one thing required of us, that is to take life whole, the sunlight and shadows together, to live the life that is given us with courage and humor and truth. We have such a little movement out of the vastness of time for all our wondering and loving. Therefore, let there be no half-heartedness. Rather, let the soul be ardent in its pain, in its yearning, in its praise. Then shall peace enfold our days, and glory shall not fade from our lives. Amen, shalom, and blessed be. Thank you, Cathy and Joan, for sharing your valuable time and insight with all of us at UUCR. It is sincerely appreciated, and we know you will visit us again. Although Cathy and Joan won't be with us right now, everyone on this Zoom service is invited to stay with us following the next 2 slides for a short electronic version of Adjourning for Coffee and Conversation. Thank you.